Why does marriage counseling have such a high failure rate? I'm Daniel Jennings, and today we're going to talk about that. Marriage counseling has an extremely high failure rate. In one study, nearly 40% of the people who had went to marriage counseling were divorced within 4 years. Why is this? Well, one of the major problems with the modern counseling movement, at least in the United States, is that the philosophy has become that the marriage counselor must always maintain a neutral position. And what that means is that, let's say you have a husband and a wife that come in for counseling, and one of the spouses is clearly in the wrong. Well, the American counseling movement has adopted the position that even though it's clear who's in the wrong and that that's causing problems in the marriage, they're not going to point that out. They're not going to tell that person that they're in the wrong. They're going to take a neutral position and just encourage the two people to talk over their problems with the mistaken belief that if you express what's bothering you that your spouse is doing, your spouse is going to change and stop doing that. But the reality is, that's not how life works. You know, if you're having marital problems, then you've probably already been talking it out. You've probably been fighting it out. You probably already know from your spouse what it is that you're doing that's bothering them, and that's making them unhappy in this relationship. You already know that, but it hasn't made a difference, and that's why you're in counseling. You know, marital problems are the result of either one or both of the people being in the wrong. I've never seen a case where both of the people were right and they were having marital problems. You know, it's always been one or both being in the wrong. And when people go to a counselor, they're going there because they want counsel. What is the definition of counsel, from which we get the word counselor? Well, counsel is advice, it's wisdom, it's input, it's suggestions. You know, that's counsel. When people go to a marriage counselor, they actually want counsel from that counselor. They want them to tell them what they're doing wrong or what their spouse is doing wrong and what they can do to fix it. But it doesn't make any sense to go to someone who has adopted a philosophy that they're always going to be neutral. I even read one article and it said it was unethical if a counselor ever was anything other than neutral. Well, that's just ridiculous. You know, you wouldn't go to a doctor where he wouldn't tell you what was wrong with you, you know, and said, I just want you to kind of talk it out and figure out what's wrong with you. You know, then I'll write you a prescription. You wouldn't go to a doctor like that. You wouldn't want your kids to be in a classroom with a teacher where she wouldn't teach them, where she was like, all right, you guys break up into little groups and figure out this algebra on your own. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's as far from common sense as you can get. But the sad truth is that, you know, in the United States there are probably millions of people that are paying for that kind of marriage counseling. And it's just having a huge failure rate. So if you're having problems in your marriage, there's nothing wrong with going to someone else for counsel, but you need to find someone who will be bold enough to tell you the truth and understand the reality of counseling enough so that, you know, they'll tell you what you're doing that's wrong and what you can do to fix it. You know, find someone like a pastor or a trusted close friend, maybe someone who's also been through their own difficult time in their marriage. You know, find somebody impartial and let them know up front that you're not afraid to hear that you might be in the wrong. In fact, you want to hear that so that you can solve these marital problems, because nobody wants to live with marital problems. Everybody wants a happy home life. But to go for counseling to a counselor who has basically said, I'm not going to give counsel, that's a waste of time. It doesn't work. And it's responsible in many ways for the high failure rate of marriage counseling in the United States. So when we think about marriage counseling, or any type of counseling for that matter, we need to find someone that will help us understand what we're doing wrong and what we can do to fix it. And if we do that, we'll be in a better position to gain something from that counseling, rather than just throwing away money for something that is not working. I'm Daniel R. Jennings, and this is another life lesson.